The council chamber fell silent as the human delegation walked in. Not marched. Not strutted. Walked. Like they owned the place. I adjusted my thermal sensors, certain I was malfunctioning. Beside me, Councillor Vren's breathing slits flared wide enough to swallow a small moon. Across the circular platform, Ambassador Quilkser made a sound that translated roughly to someone choking on their own disbelief. For 3,000 cycles, that seat had remained empty. 3,000 cycles of galactic prosperity, of carefully maintained peace, of species working together in harmony. And in all that time, every single civilization that had petitioned for membership understood one fundamental truth. You waited. You proved yourself. You earned your place. Humans, apparently, had not received that memo. Esteemed Council, the lead human began. Her name was Victoria Lang, according to the hastily assembled briefing document I had barely skimmed. She had dark skin, sharp eyes, and the kind of smile that made you want to count your appendages afterward. Thank you for seeing us on such short notice. Short notice. They had bypassed 17 standard diplomatic channels, ignored 42 official summons, and somehow convinced the Brelix Gate Authority to grant them passage using nothing but what they called charm and a bottle of something called whiskey. The Brelix do not drink. They photosynthesize. I still have no idea how that worked. You were not invited, Vren said, his translator struggling with his outrage. Your species has not completed the trials of worth. You have not demonstrated technological maturity. You have not even filed the proper application document. Victoria nodded thoughtfully, as if he had just commented on the weather. About that. She gestured to her companion, a stocky man named Marcus Reeves who looked like he could punch through a bulkhead and apologized to it afterward. He produced a data tablet, tapped it twice, and suddenly the central holographic display lit up with enough information to make my visual cortex ache. We did file, Victoria continued. 17 months ago. Standard galactic time, not Earth time. We followed every protocol, dotted every, well, you do not use dots in your written language, but you understand the expression. We waited. And waited. And received nothing but automated responses telling us our application was under review. Quilkser's tentacles writhed. That is standard procedure for all applicants. For 3 years. Marcus cut in. His voice was pleasant, conversational even, but there was steel underneath. Because we checked. The Yendari got a response in 8 months. The Colphexians in 11. Even the Bream, bless their gelatinous hearts, heard back in 14 months. But Earth. 17 months and counting. Radio silence. Almost like someone was hoping we would just give up and go away. I felt my secondary heart skip. He was not wrong. The decision to delay the human application had been informal, unspoken, but unanimous. They were loud, chaotic, barely a century past splitting the atom and still dealing with planetary conflicts. Who invited that kind of problem to the galactic table? The seat is ceremonial, I said, finally finding my voice. It represents the potential of emerging species. It is not meant to be occupied until. Until when? Victoria interrupted. Until we are civilized enough. Peaceful enough. Until we stop being so inconveniently human. She walked closer to the empty chair, her boots clicking against the polished floor. This seat has been empty for 3 millennia. That is older than some of your member civilizations. Maybe it is not about worthiness. Maybe it is about control. The chamber erupted. 6 different species tried to speak at once, their translators creating a cacophony that sounded like a garbage processor having an existential crisis. Victoria waited. Hands clasped behind her back. Perfectly calm. When the noise finally died down, she spoke again. We are not asking for permission anymore. We are here. We have met every technical requirement you list in your charter, which, by the way, is publicly available and really should have a password if you did not want people reading it. We have faster-than-light capability. We have peaceful contact with 4 separate species. We have demonstrated cultural exchange, technological innovation, and yes, we have stopped most of our wars. Most. Vren practically shrieked. Nobody is perfect, Marcus said with a shrug that somehow conveyed both apology and complete lack of remorse. Victoria moved to the empty seat. The one that had sat there, pristine and untouched, for longer than human civilization had existed. She did not sit. Not yet. She just rested one hand on its back. You can accept us, or you can refuse us, she said quietly. But understand this. We did not come here to beg. We came to claim what we have earned. What we have bled for. We have spent 2 centuries looking up at the stars, wondering if we were alone, hoping we were not. And when we finally got here, when we finally reached out, you made us wait in the lobby. The silence that followed was heavy enough to collapse into a singularity. The vote, Quilxa said slowly, requires unanimous approval. Then vote, Victoria said. The voting chamber hummed with barely contained panic. I could smell it, literally, because the Yendari secrete a specific pheromone when they are terrified, and Councillor Thessa was practically dripping with it. This is unprecedented, Vren muttered for the 8th time. His scales had shifted to a deep purple, which in his species meant either extreme anger or severe indigestion. Given the circumstances, probably both. Victoria and Marcus remained standing. They had declined the guest seating, which was probably wise given that it was designed for species with entirely different skeletal structures. Instead, they stood near the observation platform, looking remarkably unbothered for 2 beings whose entire species' future hung in the balance. We should discuss this privately, Quilxa suggested, his tentacles coiling nervously. Standard protocol dictates a minimum of 6 lunar cycles for deliberation on membership applications. No, Victoria said simply. Every sensory organ in the room focused on her. Excuse me? Quilxa's translator barely managed the words. We have waited long enough, Victoria replied. Her tone was not aggressive. Not pleading. Just, final. You vote now, or we walk. And when we walk, we take our shipping routes with us. Our medical research. Our agricultural techniques. The mining rights we have been negotiating with the Colthexians. The defensive pact we have been discussing with the Bream. All of it. Gone. Marcus pulled out his tablet again. We have been busy these last 17 months. Made some friends. Turns out, when you actually talk to people instead of making them fill out forms in triplicate, relationships develop pretty quickly. The holographic display shifted, showing a cascade of agreements, treaties, and trade contracts. My primary brain struggled to process the sheer volume. They had been networking, building alliances, creating dependencies. Not through the council, but around it. You are attempting to blackmail this council. Vren roared. Blackmail? Victoria tilted her head. No. We are simply clarifying our position. You see, we learned something interesting about galactic politics. It is not actually about worthiness or readiness or any of those lovely ideals in your charter. It is about leverage. Power. Who needs whom? She walked slowly around the chamber's perimeter, making eye contact with each councillor. Right now, 23% of this galaxy's food production relies on modified Earth crops. 16% of your medical facilities use techniques developed by human doctors. The Bream Defense Grid, which protects 4 systems including 2 of yours, Councillor Thessa, uses human encryption. We are already integrated into your society. The only thing we are missing is the seat. This is not how things are done, I heard myself say. My voice sounded weak even to my own auditory receptors. Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was warm, genuine, and somehow terrifying. With respect, Councillor, your way has not been working. That empty seat. It is not inspiring. It is not hopeful. It is a lie you tell yourselves. A promise you never intended to keep. Because keeping it means sharing power, and power is the one thing nobody wants to share. We built this council on principles, Quilxa protested, but even he sounded uncertain now. You built it on exclusion, Victoria countered. On making everyone prove they are good enough, civilized enough, peaceful enough. But here is the thing about humans. We are stubborn. Irritatingly, persistently, magnificently stubborn. You wanted us to wait. We waited. You wanted us to prove ourselves. We proved ourselves. You wanted us to go through proper channels. We went through every single channel you have and invented 3 new ones you did not know existed. She stopped at the empty seat again. We are done waiting for acceptance. We are claiming our right. So vote. The chamber fell into the kind of silence usually reserved for funerals or surprise audits. Vren was the first to speak. If we refuse, then tomorrow, the Colthexians announce their bilateral trade agreement with Earth, Marcus said pleasantly. The Bream make their defensive pact public. 3 agricultural worlds switch to Earthseed contracts. And the Council discovers that it is no longer the only game in town. You will survive, obviously. You have for millennia. But your monopoly on galactic cooperation, that dies tonight. I looked at my fellow councillors. Saw the calculations happening behind their eyes. The political mathematics. The recognition of checkmate. This is extortion, Thessa whispered. This is diplomacy, Victoria corrected gently. Just faster and more honest than you are used to. We are not your enemies. We do not want to destroy the Council. We want to join it. As equals. Not as supplicants. Quilx's tentacles had stopped writhing. He looked tired. The vote must be unanimous. Then make it unanimous, Victoria said. One by one, the votes came in. Green indicators lit up around the chamber. Some faster than others. Some with audible reluctance. But they came. When the last light turned green, Victoria finally sat down. The chair adjusted automatically to human proportions, a feature nobody had realized it had because nobody had ever tested it. Thank you, she said, and for the first time, she sounded genuinely pleased. Now, shall we discuss the Yendari border dispute? I have some ideas about that. Marcus was grinning as he pulled up another file on his tablet. I leaned back in my seat, feeling something between admiration and absolute horror. We had just been outmaneuvered by a species that still used fossil fuels on parts of their planet. The humans had not asked for acceptance. They had taken their seat. And somehow, impossibly, they had made it look inevitable. Vren caught my eye across the chamber. His expression said everything. We had underestimated them. Badly. The galaxy, I realized, was about to get significantly more interesting. And loud. Definitely louder.
Hello everyone. If you are enjoying this video and finding it helpful, don't forget to support our channel. Please subscribe to our channel, press the like button, and share this video with your friends and family. Also, make sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos. We regularly upload amazing, informative, and entertaining content just for you. Your support means a lot to us and motivates us to bring even better content in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and welcome to our growing community.